Toward the end of 2023, I just enjoyed holidays, and for about 3 weeks, I don't think I made more than 10 photos. And this made me wonder if the photos I'm making have any sense, or just digital ones and zeros that are simply lost in the vast sea of digital content that's out there. I found myself looking at the server I have in my home and where I store my photos, and I realized that I can't see my photos unless I start my computer, I access my server, and then I start browsing the photos. Now, while I was doing this, I was lying in my bed, and another question popped. What if I would want to look at my photos right now, here? And I didn't have any answer that satisfied me. Now, as the days went by and the end of the year came closer and closer, I had this kind of feeling of emptiness. I had this sudden urge to feel and touch my photos, to actually see them in front of me. So I started to think how many I should print. I have a small Canon selfie printer that I use to do small prints with it. I installed it, and I came to the conclusion that for the start, I had to begin with the best photos from 2023. Now, here they are. Here are some words on these photos that I choose to capture once more, this time on paper. I'll begin with this photo from Tuscany, with this field of red poppies. The point of focus, the point of attraction is this property over here in the background. I have this leading line, I have the golden light of the sunrise over here. And even though the biggest contrast in the photo is represented by the red poppies, I think that your attention in the end falls over here in the background on this villa. A very important element in this photo, I think, is represented by this negative space of green grass that it's between the poppies and the main subject. I feel that if I would have stayed lower and made this space smaller, this photo would not be that interesting. I think this way you have the feeling of depth in the photo. And let's move to the next one, which is another sunrise from Tuscany, where I had a really strong diagonal over here in this area. And this diagonal catches the light of the sun as it's rising. The valley barely has some light in this area, but the light doesn't touch the property yet. You can see some of the light here in the background on the clouds, but you don't see it on the property, and still this is the main focus, the place where you end up with your attention. I think it's simply because it's a human-made construction in all these fields. And even though this strong diagonal has light on it, it doesn't get the whole attention. It's a great piece that will attract the eye into the photo. In the end, you will end up over here where this really white and contrasty road takes you. And the last photo from Tuscany is this one. It was a foggy morning, and as we were returning to the hotel, I saw the city of Pienza over here emerging from the fogs. You see over here there is this beautiful dark foreground element, and then you have some fog, and you have another row of cypress trees, and then another fog, and so on and so forth. So you have a really beautiful sense of depth and dimension. You realize that you have this element that's closer, and then comes other elements, and then in the background you have the city of Pienza. I also used an ND gradiated filter to darken the sky over here. I thought that this way I will have darkness and then light and then darkness, and between these two areas of darkness I would have this beautiful light on city. Now I'm moving on to a photo from the Dolomites, and it was a really interesting sunrise. As you can see, I had no clouds in the sky, but at a certain moment there was some light hitting this pine tree over here, and also light fell on this beautiful fog that was lifting between the rocks and between the trees, the pine trees. The fog made everything look different. This photo without the fog would have been a simple rendition of some rocks and some trees, but this fog created separation, made you realize depth, made you realize how big these trees are over here and how small trees are over here in the background, in the distance. And then by comparison, you realize how truly big this rock formation is over here. And I think this is the last one from the Dolomites. We were photographing the sunrise at Cinque Torri, and there was a fog, really thick fog. We weren't seeing anything. At a certain point, I knew the sun was already up, and the fog starting to go down really fast. Then I took the camera, placed it down. These rocks are really small, but I photographed this with the 17mm, and that's why they look a little bit more imposing. And I wanted to have kind of like a frame inside the frame for the Cinque Torri over here. Now this is a photo that's really dear to me. I photographed this in the beginning of 2023. I was up on a mountain that is really close to my home, and I really like the foreground of these pine trees. And now I'm having in the background this peak. It has the light of the sunrise on it. Now there is a little bit of light over here in some places in the foreground element, but it's not that much light. I don't like to have too much light on other elements other than my subject. And of course that I had to include my favorite photos with trees, because forest is my favorite subject in landscape photography. And I will begin with this forest empty of leaves, with the white trunks, and with this lonely pine tree right in the middle. It's really simple and beautiful, and all these birch trees act like a negative space. Another tree that I really liked, and I photographed it in a day with lots of wind. You can see over here there's no detail in the grass because it was really windy, and I really wanted to capture the wind. I really feel that whenever you are doing an exposure like this, you're adding another dimension to your photo. You're saying to the viewer that it was windy that day. Then I have this graphical shape of the tree that has no leaves on it. I think this is one of my favorite photos from 2023. And now we move to the foggy forest. I'm having here a lonely tree that I decided to place right in the middle of the photo. I think even though it's a centered composition, I think it looks really well. It makes the tree pop, and of course the fog helps me to get rid of the chaos in the background. This one is another favorite place of mine. I have a really simple trail, but the thing that makes this photo interesting is these three trees over here, and then I have this one over here. These are the guardians of the trail. These are the trees that are making you go over there in the background. This one is another photo that I really like, in all this white. I have one tree with some leaves on it. I decided to go and make them more towards yellow-orange. I didn't shift them towards brown-reddish. I think this way it looks more elegant, it's simple. I hope this talk was useful to you, and I gave you some thoughts about printing your own photos. Now, if you want to add something, you can use the comment section below, or you can join me to one of my workshops or my photo tours. For example, in Tuscany this May, I have 2 more spaces available. And if you want to join me in this workshop, you have a link to my website in the description of this video. Until next time, keep on photographing. It's the only way that you can get better. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.